Max, welcome to Halloween Daily. Thank you so much for hanging out and talking to us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Well, we are here. We're going to be talking about Scream 6 and playing Ghostface and being the latest incarnation of this iconic character behind this iconic mask. But before we even get to Ghostface and your career, with us being Halloween Daily News, of course, and this being a Halloween movie, we always like to start off a little bit with some Halloween holiday talk and what Halloween means to you. So, I mean, you're in Montreal. Is that where you grew up? And what was the Halloween scene there growing up for you?
Oh my God, that's a good question. I grew up on the greater Montreal area. So I grew up in this smaller town called Laval, which is like a suburbs of Montreal, if you'd say, on the northern part. And with my father also in the Laurentians, which is in the mountains a little more north of Montreal, about 45 minutes north. What did Halloween mean to me? It meant fun. I remember that. We put on any costume we wanted, and it was cold here. I remember, like, every time it hits like October 31st, it gets pretty cold. So sometimes we had to, put a couple of layers underneath our costume just so we don't catch a
Sure.
runny nose. And it meant a lot of candy that lasted for a couple of months after that. But all in good fun, dressing up and pretending to be different characters, and that's kind of what I do for a living now. So good stuff.
And we've talked to many people, and you can kind of trace performing and acting and getting dressed up for a living, like you said, back to Halloween and that childhood fun sometimes.
A little
Uh,
bit.
how about now as an adult? Do you look forward to the holiday now and get into it now?
Well, I like it because I do stuff with friends and family. We watch scary movies,
Yeah.
and I still like to go and buy some candy because at the store they sell those big boxes that you give for kids, but I keep it for myself. I'm not gonna lie. So we do a little get together, and we watch a couple of scary movies, and we eat a bunch of candy, and have a blast on that day. But I don't go out anymore. That would be a little weird to go knock on doors. But,
And we always have to ask, what is your favorite Halloween candy and your favorite Halloween costume that you've worn?
oh man, my God, that's a good question because I used to love candy. I used to love those Sour Patch.
Oh
You know
yeah.
those
Yep.
sour, what do you call it? Gooey jujubes.
Yeah.
Um, I used to love those. I used to get almost like irritated inside the mouth because I used to eat so much. It was that,
Yeah.
and I love like I used to love those chocolate dollars. Those like
Oh
coins.
yep. Yep.
Yeah, so I used to love a lot of those. Anything sour and chocolate would be my go-to. Yeah,
Nice.
and my favorite Halloween costume. I have to remember this. Um, I remember this one year I dressed up like a ninja, and I really
Awesome.
liked it. It was like, and it was not one of those cheap ninja, stuff that you get like at a party store or something. It was like
Hmm.
almost legit,
Yeah.
almost like I don't remember where I got it from, but it was like almost like black karate pants with like a top gi and the whole like mask and stuff. And yeah, I remember I had that, and I love wearing that costume.
Awesome. That's a good pick. I think people forget how cool ninjas are sometimes today. Ninjas, I mean that yeah, they love a good ninja.
Yeah, ninjas are fun. Like
Yeah.
I used to watch this movie when I was a kid on repeat called The Three Ninjas, and as those kids that just are being trained by their
Yep.
grandfather and take on bad guys. I used to watch it a bunch of times, and I wanted to be that kid. Oh, yeah.
Awesome. I remember that. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's part of what Halloween's all about too, fulfilling
There you
those
go.
those dreams and escaping into those worlds.
Hundred
So
percent.
So speaking of escaping into worlds and fulfilling dreams and stuff, let's talk about how you got into this career. I mean, was acting and stunt performing something that you were into at a young age or thought you'd be into, or what kind of led you into this field?
Um, Yeah, I mean, I grew up watching movies with my family, my
Hmm.
friends. Like that was what we did on a Saturday night, we
Yeah.
played Nintendo and we'd watch movies on VHS, and uh I remember I really liked um pretending to be those characters as a kid.
Hmm.
And I even started doing karate, which is my base. I've been doing martial arts for years, but when I started karate, it's just because I wanted to be like a Power Ranger or a Ninja Turtle, or I wanted to
Yeah.
be Jean-Claude Van Damme, in Bloodsport and stuff. Like I wanted to be those
Mhm.
characters.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think stunt work, I wanted to be it when I was a child, and then I sort of forgot about it. And then um, my sister got into acting when she was a teenager. Her name is Kimberly. She's a tremendous actress, very, very good. And I sort of did theater when I was a child.
Hmm.
I remember I was good at it, but my parents my parents convinced me I would eat peanut butter and Kraft dinner for the rest of my life, and I'd be like, that doesn't sound half as bad.
Right.
No, but it was just like, they really pushed Kimberly into that career, and because she was very determined, and I was just like, yeah, maybe. So they thought it would be better if I got a good education, and which is a good thing actually.
Hmm.
And then when I was at university, I decided I wanted to try it out. So I called Kim and I was like, what do you suggest, if I want to try it out? And she was like, you should do some extra work. You should try and
Hmm.
see if the set life is for you.
Yeah.
And I went, and I really liked it. Like I fell in love with the set and being on, wearing all these costumes and being in this a giant industry. So I decided to pursue it. So I became an actor when I was 23, got an agent, and 2 years later, my agent hooked me up with a couple of stunt people that she knew.
Hmm.
So I went and to meet them, and they gave me a first job on Immortals, the movie with Henry Cavill. I think that's how he
Yep.
pronounces it, Cavill. In 2011, and since then I started doing more and more stunts, and I was able to do both. Um,
Hmm.
Doing more stunts and making a career out of it, and then acting as well. So now I'm fortunate enough to be able to do both. Yeah.
That is fortunate that you can do both and walk in both worlds, and because not everybody can, I mean, some people are trained in stunts and that's kind of strictly their lane, and then other actors of course aren't really equipped or aren't interested even in doing the stunt stuff. So the fact that you're the package that comes with both, I like that.
I mean, I really like both worlds,
Yeah.
for me, as long as there's a good story to be told, and I like performing. So whether it's in stunts, and because of my background, it just sort of became natural to me, martial arts, and I did anything sort of adrenaline sort of related. So I do snowboarding and I surf a little bit and I skydive, and I really like that feeling. So it
Hmm.
sort of drove me into the stunt world just because of what I like to do.
Hmm.
Um, and the acting has always been, appealing to me. I really like performing in all sorts of productions. So
Yeah, and
yeah, I
like you
was
said, I was gonna say, it sounds like it goes back to when you were a kid and watching those scary movies. And
pretty much. Yeah, I like it.
now, so you've been working pretty steadily since then, since Immortals, right?
Yeah. I mean, well, yeah, I remember I was a waiter and a bartender before Immortals, and then I got Immortals, so I quit that job, and like I made a little bit of money, and then I after Immortals, like it was great, but then I didn't get a job right away, right? I was
Hmm.
still auditioning, and I stunts, like I was not in that world fully yet,
Yeah.
so I had to get another job as a bartender at a golf course, which was fun. But then I was also studying at the same time, and
Yeah.
I was sort of having all those jobs together. And then after that year, like I booked a contract, and I had a job also for a stunt gig. So I had to quit. I had to quit, being a bartender and pursuing just what I wanted to do. And
Hmm.
I've been fortunate enough to get, more and more work and doing stunts and doing acting and doing mocap also for video games. And when I got into that world, like, it's just started going, and I'm fortunate enough to have a career now doing all of that.
And that's got to be cool and kind of fulfilling that you've got a little bit of each. You are doing the acting, you're doing the stunts, and now, like you said, this other realm of the motion capture as well, which kind of combines elements of both, I would imagine.
Yeah, I started doing mocap on Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I think was my first gig. I mean, I play video games a lot, and I love the
Hmm.
Assassin's Creed franchise. So when I got that gig, I was, over the moon. Um, and then, they started knowing me, so they started, hiring me for other projects and stuff. It's been going on for a few years now. So yeah, and there is a lot of acting and stunts in mocap, right? They use real
Oh yeah.
people with a motion capture suit and everything to get, as close to a live performance as possible. And they can create any world that they want. It's a blast to be on, like, really.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what brought you to Scream Six, and how does one become the latest Ghostface killer, the latest in this list of performers that have worn this iconic mask. I mean, the franchise has been around for over 25 years now, and I consider the original a bona fide classic, and I love the whole franchise. And um, so, when did you get involved with the project, and did you come to it with? I mean, had you seen the previous movies, any or all of them, and were you a fan at all coming into it?
I knew a lot about it, but I
Okay.
can't say that I was like a super dedicated fan of the
Hmm.
franchise. But of course, I know who the ghost faces,
Yeah.
and all the stories behind it. I watched the first one. It was in 96, I think,
Hmm.
came out 94,
Yep.
96. And so I remember I watched the first one, not all, as when it came out, but close to when it came out. And I was like, I really liked it because it's not, in my mind, it's not a scary movie like, I don't know, Freddy is a scary movie or Chucky was a scary movie.
Hmm.
It's almost funny.
Yeah.
It's all, there's a lot of comedy behind it. There's a lot of like reality behind it because that guy is just a person under a Halloween costume, right? He's
Hmm.
just a person. Um, so he makes mistakes, and you know he gets hit and he falls down, which I kind of liked. And but I remember liking it a lot. But I can't say that I was like, as soon as the next one came out, I went to see it,
Yeah.
even though it's very popular, and I do appreciate them now. So yeah, I was so I like those movies, but I can't say that I was a huge fan,
Hmm.
but I appreciated them big time.
Hmm.
um how does one become Ghostface? Well, I just got a call from the stunt coordinator,
Hmm.
Alex Kadzira, and he asked me to do to go do a stunt rehearsal for for a movie. And for me, I was like, sure, it's a job. So I didn't
Yeah.
really know what I was going for, but we do that all the time. So he called me and it was like, okay, cool, show up at this place at that time. I'm like, great. So I go there, and then there's like six of us over there, including Alex, and he says, okay, so this is for Scream, the new Scream.
Hmm.
I was like, cool. Like, for me, it was a job, so
Yeah.
yeah, no problem. So he goes, we got to do this choreography for the Gale fight. And I was like, okay, great. So we all came up with the choreography together,
Hmm.
and with Alex's direction. And he says, okay, Max, are you going to be the killer? Like, put the mask on and hold this plastic knife, and let's go. So we started doing that, and we came up with it, and it was great and everything. And there was another stunt woman, Flavie, who's a fan,
Hmm.
and I knew of the film, so I knew the style of fighting that they were, they he was doing in the past years. Um, so we sort of came up with a couple of things all together, and then the directors came, and they came to see it, and Matt and Tyler, they liked what we did, so they were like, okay, great, we love it, let's sort of keep it the same for the day. So after that, a couple of days later, Alex called me and he just asked me if I wanted to be, the killer, the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, sure, let's, I'm down. Let's do it. But again, for me, I didn't really realize what it was.
Yeah.
For me, it was a job.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, yeah, absolutely, no problem. And then, so I show up on set, and there was no costume in my trailer. The costume was inside the studio on set. So I go to set, and that's when they decided to put the mask and the robe on me, because nobody could see that we were shooting Scream, if people were watching with long cameras or something, whatever.
Right.
It was very secretive. And that's when I put the costume on, I was like, oh my God, this is really cool. Actually, this is really cool. And that's when I sort of realized that, Ghostface was a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's pretty much how it happened. Yeah.
Wow. That is awesome. And like you said, not until you're there on set putting the actual robe on and the mask, and that's when you really started to feel the magnitude of it. It sounds like that wow, this is a big deal, and this character in specific, is such a big deal to the franchise and to the horror community. Obviously, they've massive amount of fans over the last 25 years, 26 years now.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's, I remember when I was putting it on and I looked at myself in the mirror, I felt honored by it. I felt like, holy crap, like this is bigger than I thought, right? Because, this is like a big thing.
Yeah.
It's a big character, because he's kind of an entity, right? He's like, we talked about this with a couple of people, but he is like an entity of itself.
Yes.
He's like Jason. He's like Freddy. He's like Chucky. He's like those characters that are never-ending legends, Even though the guy underneath the costume or the girl underneath the costume is, an actual person, that's a revealing moment at the end of the film, that character is still a legend itself. Once you have the mask and the robe on,
yes,
he's not that person. He is Ghostface,
Yep.
So yeah, I remember I was honored by it, and I just wanted to give it justice. Like, I really wanted to give it my all, so that people, hopefully I can bring my A game and people like it, and yeah, it was a really great moment.
I love I love like what you were just saying about how once the characters in the film put on the costume, it almost ceases to be them anymore. Is the way I've seen it. Is it's almost like they become Ghostface at that point.
Yeah.
And Ghostface is eternal, like you said. Ghostface comes back over and over, while the people, once they're out of that costume, they come and go. But somehow, it's almost where the film isn't supernatural, but it almost has that slight hint of like a supernatural feel to it. And
Exactly.
I like that. I love that about the franchise. I think it's one of the unique things about the Scream movies, that they keep the killer around despite never keeping the same killer around, but they still manage to at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. It's this figure that is constantly present, even though the mask changes, even though the people underneath the costume changes, it's still an entity of itself. That Ghostface is Ghostface. You know what I mean? Throughout, the 25 years.
Yeah.
It's very strong. It's a very strong feeling.
I agree. Now, I was wondering, because, okay, spoiler alert for anybody that hadn't seen Scream 6. If you haven't seen it, go watch it, then finish the interview. But
yeah, pause it, and then go watch it, and then, come back.
Exactly. There. Now we're safe. Now we can talk any spoilers. But
That's right.
one of the plot points, obviously, in the movie is the mask. Is it's multiple masks, and the killer this time is, with each kill wearing different masks, and they're each tied to previous killers. So I two questions. I was wondering, one, were you around or did you hear any of the discussion about the looks of the masks? Because I know fans, are dissecting that and all of that. And and then I was also curious if there was any direction or if you referred to any of the previous Ghostface performances at any point, because in the plot they're kind of trying to mimic these previous kills.
Right.
And so I just wanted to know if the filmmakers, or that was part of the process at all.
Not really. They didn't like Matt and Tyler are really good at what they do, and I think the reason why they hired me as Ghostface is because I was moving, how I felt I should move. Like it just came naturally. I did watch some stuff from the previous, Ghostface performances. I watched some clips from the past movies just to get a glimpse and an idea and a feeling of how you move and with the knife and some mannerisms and stuff. So I did watch some stuff, and also to come up with the choreographies. It's good to see what they did in the past. One, not to copy it exactly, and two, just to get like a really good feeling of how you want to move while you're in the suit. But I really wanted to to bring what I could do, like to embody it myself. And yes, I want to give it justice. Yes, I want to honor what the past Ghostface actors have done and stuntman has done, but I wanted to bring my flavor to it.
Sure.
And it just came naturally. I didn't think about it too much. I was just doing, like, moving the way that I thought I should move, and what felt right in the moment. And in the choreographies and stuff. And Matt and Tyler and Chad, the guys from Radio Silence, they like what I did, and they weren't afraid to tell me when they didn't like something, or they weren't afraid to tell me when they did like something. Chad was really, really nice. They were all real nice, but Chad, like every 2-3 takes when he saw me on the side, he's like, "Good job, Max. Good job." I was like, "Oh, thanks so much. Thank you." I think whatever comes naturally is the best way to go, I always think. And then, because it's a collaborative work, you get directions, you change certain things to play and to help with the story. But if you do something that's natural and they like it, there's no reason to change anything, Yeah. So I don't know. Does that answer a question? That feels, it feels like I've just been rambling.
No, it does.
Okay.
And I read a recent interview with the film's cinematographer, Brett, and he said that you were given, I guess, some freedom and able to lead, and that's a little bit what you were talking about now, I feel like. But you kind of were instrumental in influencing some of the kills, some of the brutality of some of these kills, and they just kind of let you follow your lead a little bit. Do you recall being given a little bit of that extra freedom?
Yeah, I mean, I was given that freedom in the sense that you still have to stick to the choreographies, right?
Sure, yeah.
You can't do a fight choreography and improv because someone's going to get hit for sure.
Right.
So we do with the stunt coordinator and the other actors and the other stunt performers and myself, we did, we came up with choreographies, and then the director approve or change things, and same with, camera angles and stuff. But yeah, I felt that just the way I had to move, the intensity of the movements, or the way I was swiping the knife or stabbing people, and I felt I was giving freedom to move pretty much how I would move. That's really appreciated too, because you don't always get that. And same thing when you're dealing with specific kills, like when I killed Annika. We were doing the fight choreography with the actors in a fight rehearsal, And then at one point, I slash Jasmine's arm, and
Hmm.
then I come up to Aniko's trying to fight me off, and she's very small, so I was like, why could I just lift her with one arm? Feel like a little superhuman almost.
Hmm.
And I'm like, okay, let's try it. And then we came up with the technique so I don't actually hurt her. There's a whole technique to do it, and we did it, and I lift her up and I put her against the wall before I stab her, and it felt really real, and it
Yeah.
felt really good, in the moment. So they decided to keep it on, to keep it in the movie and stuff. So yeah, I was giving some freedom, and also the freedom uh, to express your ideas, even if
Hmm.
they're not going to go through. You still had freedom to try.
Yeah.
Um, there's a couple of times where I wanted to try something, and I asked Matt or Tyler, is like, hey, do you mind if I in the next take I could try this? And they would go, yeah, go for it, man, try it.
Hmm.
And if it doesn't work, then we'll change it,
Yeah.
we'll do another take, we'll use another take in the editing, it's fine. But at least we had the opportunity and the safety to try, which
Hmm.
is very appreciated as a performer.
Yeah, I imagine so. I mean, and it does sound like it was a good collaboration. Um, and you mentioned Matt and Tyler. I was curious, what was that dynamic like working with two directors? Because that doesn't
Amazing.
happen all the time.
No, it doesn't. I think it was my first experience, but it was amazing. Like,
Hmm.
these guys are the nicest humans ever,
Yeah.
and very professional. They knew what they were doing. It was a blast to be on set every day. Like, everybody was, and not just us, but the whole crew. There was a feeling of, we're happy to go to work. We're happy to be here. It was a really fun and uh yeah, just genuinely joyful environment. Matt and Tyler are the best. Like, I would work with them in a heartbeat. Really. Yeah.
I know that's awesome for us to hear that it was a genuinely good experience and that they're nice people and good
Yeah.
guys. They seem
And
like it.
passionate too. They're very
Yeah.
passionate about the project. I know they really wanted to, in the fifth one, and
Yeah.
this one, they wanted to give they wanted to make it their own, I'm sure, but they wanted to give justice to what Wes Craven created also
Yeah.
before, you know, um, and very efficient, very professional. Like, yeah, it was a blast to work with them.
And that's you behind the mask for all the kills, right? I mean, because I don't think any of the other films. I think they had a couple different guys, but is that you?
I did 90% of it. There's
Okay.
a 10% of it that another stunt guy did it.
Okay.
I remember he did the first kill with
Hmm.
I think the actress's name is Samara.
Yep.
Yeah. So he did that kill because the guy in the costume is not one of the three, you know,
That's right.
uh,
Yep.
actual killers. So they
That
wanted a
makes
different
sense.
body shape, and then at the end, when there's you see the two, like, he was the other Ghostface. So I was one of them. He was the other one.
Ah, I
So
gotcha.
yeah, there's another stunt guy that did it. His name is Metzger Kadar, and very talented stuntman, very good martial artist. Nice guy also. It was, yeah. So I did 90% of it, but he did a good 10 for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And Ghostface is always a collaboration, and of course another recurring part in addition to the mask and that feeling that Ghostface gives is the voice of Roger Jackson. I was curious, did you meet him or have you met him? And
No,
you
I've
haven't
never
gotten
met
to.
him. I've never
Yeah.
met him. He, I think he's based in LA, I
Mhm.
believe. He's been doing the voice forever. So no, there was no communication between us. I'd love to meet him one day. Not gonna lie,
Yeah.
but I've never met him. Yeah.
One of these conventions, they need to get all of you guys that have been behind the mask and Roger together for one epic
Oh,
panel and photo op. That would be amazing.
that would be a blast. Like, I'm actually going to my first convention next week in Florida.
Awesome.
Uh, I'm going to Spooky Empire for
Very cool.
in a week. So that's going to be a really good experience. I can't wait to meet the fans and to take pictures and to talk more about it. But that would be great if we could like
Yeah,
all be under one panel with all the Ghostface and
it
the
would be
Roger Jack.
amazing.
That would be great. Yeah, 100%. I'm there
Yeah,
tomorrow. Let's go.
yeah, yeah. I'd have to be there for that one. And you're gonna love the conventions. Yeah, I mean, we love going whenever we get a chance. I mean, it's such a good time and just a cool vibe and cool community.
You go a
Um,
lot. You go a lot to
we
conventions.
do as much as we can. We're out here on the East Coast as well, in North Carolina, and
Okay,
so yeah, we hit some regional ones when we can.
nice.
But we love them. Yeah, for like the last 10 years or so, we'll go to a couple a year at least, and it's always just the best time.
That's awesome. I can't wait. I can't wait. Like I'm gonna do a few this year. Like my convention agency has booked me for a couple of conventions, and I can't wait to just go and meet the fans and
Yeah,
talk.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So with being in so much of the film, and I mean, almost all the Ghostface skills, like you said, 90%. Um, what was the most challenging scene for you to shoot?
What was the most challenging scene? I think the Gale fight. Gale fight
Yeah.
was challenging. It lasted for I think 4 or 5 nights.
Hmm.
It was night shoots in an
Hmm.
apartment in Montreal. I mean, it was a beautiful apartment, but it was night shoots, so that's hard to start.
Hmm.
And there's a lot, like it's a pretty big fight scene, right? It lasts for
Yeah.
like the fight itself is going to be like a good 2 minutes, I
Hmm.
think. So just breathing under the mask was really hard because in the mask, all there is like a little slot at the top of the mouth. That's all you have. Everything else is thick plastic, so you can't breathe really well.
Yeah.
Especially if you're winded. There's in the hole, like the eye holes are there's mesh in front, but the
Hmm.
breathing doesn't really go there. It just goes down or in the slot. So I couldn't breathe really well. But other than that, yeah, I could move freely and everything was fine. But yeah, I think that was the most challenging because there was so much movement and so much intensity in all the moves. Like I had to chase her when I'm on the floor and then get hit and then jump over the couch and then she hits me and then she running around that post and there's stabbing and slashing and stuff and then she flips me on the table and there's all those things happening. So I think physically that was the most challenging one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, the one in the apartment was also, I don't want to say challenging, but it was a big scene, but it was not as I was not as winded when I was finishing a take, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. The Gale fight I was winded. Like I had to work on my cardio there, It was a
Yeah.
workout for sure.
And I mean, obviously, I know there's stunt doubles and all, but how much did you get to actually work with Courtney on that Gale fight?
We did she did most of her own thing. Most of the fight was
Awesome.
her. Yeah, she had a stunt double.
Hmm.
Her name is Marie-Eve Beckers.
Hmm.
She's an amazing stunt woman. And she was almost like a perfect stunt double for her. Same height, same look,
Yeah.
same size. Everything was great. And but most of the fight, Courtney did it herself. Like Marie-Eve participated, of course, but
Hmm.
like kudos to Courtney because
Yeah.
she's still she moves well and she did most of the fight. So yeah. So I work with her for pretty much the whole thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Did you find that a lot of the actors, did you get to work with most of the principal cast in the
Yep.
same way that a lot of them were doing most of their own stunt work, for lack of a better term, whenever possible, like that?
Yeah, I mean, again, they all have stun doubles, and
Yeah.
when it's not safe for the actor to do it, the stun double is gonna do it for them. Um, but yeah, I was fortunate enough to work with all the actors. I was like, we had a little area with the cast, so
Hmm.
everybody had sort of a chair, and I was part of that.
Hmm.
So we chatted, and everybody was extremely nice and welcoming and very professional and stuff. So we all had a good time. yeah, everybody was the best. Yeah, it was a really really fun to be around. Yeah.
Well, that's definitely good to hear. What was your favorite scene to shoot, or just your favorite moment from the set?
No, those are hard questions. Because it was all so great. Like it's hard to pick and choose.
Well, you
My
could give us a
favorite
couple.
moment. Yeah, exactly. All of it. That's all of it. All of it. It was all the best. Um. Okay. I really like the bodega scene.
Yeah.
Because it's the intro to Ghostface. I had freedom to move, and I had freedom to sort of,
Hmm.
the head tilt is the first time you sort of see it, and
Yeah.
they really liked it, and and the people I work with were people that I know, like the bodega clerk. He's like one of my mentors when it comes to stunt work. It's
Oh,
Jason
cool.
Cavalier, and I had the scene with him, and the guy that I stabbed at the beginning, Peter Seaborn, is a hilarious actor and stuntman. He's amazing. Then I stabbed Jean Frenette, who's like an icon in the stunt world, and in Montreal. Um, and then the girls and the shotgun fight and the whole thing. Like it was so fun
Yeah.
to do. Um, so that was a really cool scene, and plus it's the last scene that we shot for the whole film. So
Oh, wow.
there's sort of this uh last great moment before the summer ends, kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, so there's that. There's also the when I kill Annika, it was
Hmm.
really cool because uh it really had the Ghostface essence. I felt
Yeah.
like what I mean by that is that I try to get in, and I try to smash through the door while they're escaping and stuff, and Annika is stabbed, so she's hurting and stuff, and she's trying to get through with she's having difficulty trying to step through on the ladder, and then Ghostface walks through, and that walk from the door to the window, I walked it, like I didn't rush to it, so it
Yeah.
had sort of this very stocky, stalking more than stocky,
Yeah.
stalking sort of prey, like I'm looking at my prey and stuff, and then um I look at, it's like they set up the death for me, so I was like, let's just use it, you know,
Hmm.
and so I and even they built that set in the studio for the actors to do. So I was like, I asked, the directors, I'm like, what do you think if I like, I just stab the knife on the windowsill, you know, to use the ladder instead of my knife?
Yeah.
And is it okay if I stab the wood that set deck put there? Like I don't want to break your set. And they're
Right.
like, yeah, go for it, man. Let's try it. And I was like, great. So there, and then stab the windowsill and start using the ladder to get her off, kind of thing. So I was bouncing her around and then flipping her. So it really had sort of that stalking killer vibe,
Yeah.
and really the genuine essence of Ghostface in that
Hmm.
moment. So I really like that. Yeah, it was great. There's also a funny moment when I was stabbing this thing, when I was stabbing the knife on the windowsill in the costume. There's big sort of pieces of cloth, pieces of fabric that are falling from the arms.
Hmm.
So every time I was raising my arm and then doing the stab on the window, the pieces of fabric would go underneath, and I would stab the fabric.
Stab the fabric.
I would be stuck on the windowsill, so we had to redo that take. I don't know. I'm gonna say like 7 or 8 times, just because I was stuck, like I was stabbing my own clothes, and it became kind of a joke at the end because I didn't want to do it. It just happened itself, like by itself.
Yeah.
So yeah, there were holes in the whole fabric at one point because I kept stabbing it. It was funny. So I think those are my two favorite like moments in the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they were all good. Even the stuff that was off screen, it was such a blast to be there and to be part of that, of the
Hmm.
whole experience. Um, but if I had to choose two moments in the film, I think those would be my two. Yeah.
I like those two as well. And you should know, you should feel good. We've recently talked to Lee Waddell, who was the original Ghostface
The
in
OG.
the OG, and he was very complimentary of your work in
Oh,
Part Six. Yes,
so nice.
he liked that there was some authority brought back to the character, and he, yeah, you'll have to check out our interview with him. He was very complimentary of your
Will
work
do.
in the film.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lee. I appreciate you. I'll watch it for sure. No, that's a great compliment. It's awesome.
Absolutely, yeah. You can't get a much better compliment than that.
Yeah.
So, so when you saw the finished film for the first time, what was your impression? Just as are you able to separate yourself and just watch it as a movie fan?
It's hard, but it's possible. Like I went to watch it in theaters with a couple of friends, and
Mm-hmm.
and when I knew something would happen, I would go like, "Get
Yeah.
ready, something's gonna happen," and they go like, "No, something's gonna happen. It's a Scream movie." Like, yeah. So it was it's hard to just step away and sort of watch it for the first time.
Yeah.
But I was in the story. I was watching it, and I was intrigued still by the acting, and where the story was going and stuff. Yeah, so I liked it, and the actors are very, very good. They're really talented. So I was in the story. I was not taken away because I saw them act.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really cool. Like I really liked it as a viewer. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And a Scream Six, it takes place over Halloween, and there's all the Ghostface masks, which I've commented on this channel before, that very much like our real life Halloweens where we go. I mean, there's Michael Myers, Jason, and there's about three ghost faces over there, and that's usually the way it is. I mean, it's like such a popular mask and costume over the years, over the last quarter century.
Yeah.
So knowing that now, and now the movie's out, and now you felt the magnitude a little bit, that you're part of this. You're one of the guys now. You're one
Yeah.
of the ghost faces. You're part of this legacy now. So what are your thoughts on that, or have you taken a moment to process it yet?
Uh, I mean, I don't really realize it. It's yeah. I don't put any weight on it. You
Yeah.
know, I'm just a human being like everybody else. I was just fortunate enough to wear the mask. But I feel very grateful to be
Mm-hmm.
part of that. Be part of that franchise, and to have wore the mask, and to have been able to play that character.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm just very happy to have been able to be part of it. But and the fans have been so nice. Like I've been receiving DMs from all over the world, and everybody has been just telling me how they like the movie, and they like the performance, and I'm just so grateful and glad that they liked it. So thank you to the fans. Thank you to everybody. It's a very cool experience for sure.
Well, I think you did a great job embodying this character. Um, and
Thank you.
I think I know the answer to this, but if they were to call you, I mean, we know Part Seven hasn't been announced, but I think it's probably inevitable. I mean, this one made a ton of money at the box office. I'm sure a Part Seven's coming at some point. If you were to get the call to come back, I think I know the answer, but
Oh, I would never do it again. Never. It was a horrible experience. I hated every moment of it. No, it was great. Of course I would go.
Yeah.
I would if they told me it was, hey man, we're shooting Scream 7 in space, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, Ghostface in space.
Sure.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
No, I would work, with these guys in a heartbeat. Like they're wonderful humans, and I would do it again any day of the week. Yeah. No, I would definitely do it. Yeah.
Awesome. Very cool. And what else do you have upcoming that we can look for you in? Do you have some projects you can plug while you're here that we can look for you in?
um, I mean, specifically, I can't say too much about certain things because I signed
Sure.
NDAs.
Yes.
What I can say is that there's a few motion capture project video games that are coming out.
Hmm.
That not are coming out, but I'm filming. So a few things are gonna be out. Um, I can say I've been part of the Video Game for Honor for the past
Hmm.
almost 10 years now. So there's new stuff coming up, and so keep an eye out for that. When it comes to TV shows and cinema, I don't know yet. I can't say.
Stay tuned, right?
Yes, dude. Just keep checking my social media, and you'll see what comes out when I'm able to post some stuff.
Hmm.
Um, because I'm not super super active on it, but when I am,
Hmm.
I post some stuff about productions. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all I can say about that.
Well, we will definitely be staying tuned and looking forward to what your next project is, and who knows, maybe we'll be talking again about Scream 7 at some point.
Who knows? You know, fingers crossed.
There we go. There we go. Well, man, this has been just a pleasure talking to you today.
Oh, you too.
I love your story. I love your work in Scream 6, and this has just been great.
Thank you so much. It's been great talking to you too.
And I always hate to say goodbye, so instead, since every day's Halloween, we just are going to say Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, and see you later. Not goodbye.